Greetings, Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tyra Omilade, here to share a word of inspiration with you on your path to self-realization and self-mastery. This is the March 2019 Wisdom Roadmap for those of you here in the Patreon Inner Circle. Thank you all so much for joining me here. I'd like to welcome Cassia as well as Toya. And I think, though she's not at this level, there's also Phoenix. So I'm just so happy to have more and more people joining me here in the inner circle. Just touched and happy and welcome. And just remember, you all, take notes. This roadmap is for the month. So I'm giving the overarching energy for the month. And I have to, excuse me, let me finish this. I'm giving you the overall or the overarching energy for the month so that you know where you're headed for March. You know what lies ahead of you overall for March. March, in my opinion, is going to be a month that's very energetic. Let me say it that way. I see it for myself as a bit challenging, but for some of you, it may not be challenging. But this month for me is going to be a little bit rough, just because it's energy that I think I need to master. And so I'll segue into, like, y'all heard me in some reading. I don't know if it was the one for February or a weekly reading where I mentioned being a little bit tired because, this Pisces energy is draining. Pisces dissolves things. And my sun is in Pisces. And though the sun is in Pisces, I'm about to have a solar return. I'm a little bit drained. So if there's anything I missed, don't hit deeply enough for you, please let me know. But y'all know I was going to get this done for y'all no matter what. First of all, I love doing this. And secondly, I know that y'all are like, girl, give me this information so that I have something to work with. So I do want to do a February recap. You can always go back and look at the readings. They're going to be there here, I should say, in Patreon, forever. So always feel free to go back and look at a reading. I did a recap for February because you know how when we do the weekly readings, I tell y'all now, look, write down a game plan for this day, during this week. What are some things that you need to be focused on sort of based on the energy? And I started looking back at what I had written down and I'd be doggone. It was on point. So I'd like to recap for February. Some of the things that we can think about was how creative were you? How many good ideas did you get working with the law of attraction? Did you work with Oshun or Yah much? Regarding chaos and drama, how much of that did you have? My prediction was it would be more internal than external. Have you tapped more deeply into your trust issues? Are you trusting your intuition? I will say that to me, that was a month where the energy was subtle. So like when we look at this Wachet energy, the energy is a lot of times subtle because it's not spoken, it's not material, it's energetic. It was a very energetic month. And so that's something that we can really think about, like how psychic were you, the lessons that you learned, did it shift you energetically? Did you work with the energy of Yemanjah? Were there some things that you needed to put a seal on and leave behind? And yeah, the astro wisdom wasn't earth shattering, but for me, individually, the energy could have been very potent. For me, it's been potent. As y'all can see, my hair is gone. And it has to do with the transits that have been happening. So I'm showing you all again. People want to know how I do what I do. They tell me they want greater access to their power. Well, these are things that I do. I recap. And part of the reason we do this is because the wisdom teaches us through reviewing it, through looking at, okay, this is what the oracle said, this is what astrology said, or whatever you're using. Let me go back and see how did it play out. And that's how the wisdom begins to teach us, okay? So moving forward for March. This is the overview, but I'm just going to be on this page for a little while because I didn't make a separate page for the wisdom from the oracle. So there's the Metu Neter, which is from ancient Egypt or Kemet. And so this energy, I'm in awe of this energy, is Sheps and Aset, positive. Sheps is always positive. The opposite of Sheps is dark deceased. And then the Aset, positive. So I find this to be amazing because, first of all, we're in the season of Pisces, and Pisces is about the unseen. It's the world that's beyond this physical realm. It's about the world that is actually more real than the physical reality. And that is where the ancestors dwell. In Ifa, it is called Orun. And so with this Piscean energy that we're starting out this month in, and it's actually quite a lot going on in Pisces, we may have greater access to connecting with our ancestors. Why do we connect with our ancestors? Our ancestors help us. Our ancestors give us heads up because they can see things that are coming down the pipeline that maybe we can't see. Why do we work with our ancestors? Because our ancestors can help us when we find ourselves in a problem, if we find ourselves in a quandary, if we find ourselves needing help, we can call on our ancestors of light. Please, ancestors, help me. You know, my working with the ancestors at this point is so fundamental that I just assume they're helping me. You know, I give my ancestors carte blanche, freedom to assist me. Whenever I need help, whether I ask for it or not, ancestors, help me. That's something you can say to your ancestors of light. People are sometimes a little bit concerned about who to work with. Call on your ancestors of light. You don't even have to know all of their names, okay? But allow your ancestors to assist you. And the relationship is more powerful if we make an effort to connect with our ancestors. Another thing about Sheps is sometimes in order for us to know where we're going, you know, it's that Sankofa principle. We have to look back. And a lot of times we're looking back because the lives of our ancestors give us information on how to move forward. So if you have, and I put this in quotes, a family curse, you can look back at the ancestors to kind of see the evolution of this thing, to see which ancestor do you need to send light and love because they were caught up in this family curse so that you can release yourself from it. Okay? We look back to our ancestors because they have left a legacy for us to know where to pick up as we move forward. Okay? So you all, it's very important for us to work with our ancestors, to study the ancestors in history. Sometimes it seems like whatever they were going through, it's not relevant to today. But actually, so many ancient ancestors were so evolved that it behooves us to study them so that we can, they've already left the technology so that we can go back and grab the technology and begin to use it in a way that is going to lead us to self-realization, self-mastery, Iwa Pele, good character, and to our destinies. So it cannot be overstated. It's almost like, and I think I asked Babalawo this one time. This is one of the great teachers within Ifa. These are, people that are higher up, I guess you could say, or the teachers, the wise ones in Ifa. Largely just work with the ancestors. Pour those libations. Feed those ancestors. Talk to those ancestors. Go to that ancestral altar. To a certain degree, if all we did is work with our ancestors, oh my God, we would be light years ahead in some instances. That's how important it is to work with the ancestors. Do not sleep on working with the ancestors. They are our guardian angels. The other energy is, and I'll relate that to this Odu that has spoken this month, Irosun. Irosun says you must work with your ancestors. The ancestors are, one of the things that a lot of us hear is we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. Ma Angelou spoke at my graduation at Spelman College, and she said, look, when you go in for a job, take your ancestors with you, your ancestors of light with you, because they are going to help us accomplish whatever it is that we need to accomplish. Pathways here talks about isolation. And I was really trying to understand what is negative about isolation, because this is a pathway out. In isolation, the author of this oracle was saying, sometimes people don't even know that that's what they're feeling. But isolation, to a certain degree, has to do with where you feel a void. And when I said feel, F-E-E-L, where you feel that there is a void in your life. Where you feel there is a lack. And so, sometimes there's a change that happens and you feel isolated. So isolation is this state of being in a place where you just feel alone, unsupported, lacking in some kind of way. But when we call on our ancestors, you will know never, ever do you ever walk alone, go to bed alone, take a shower alone, go on a trip alone. Those ancestors will stand at that door while you take your shower, and they will listen to you. Y'all, I'm off center, so I'm getting emotional because I know the ancestors care about us. They will stand at that door while you take your shower, and they will say, what is she saying that she needs? Because we want to help her get it. What does he say that he's missing out on? Because we will help them get whatever it is that they need. The healing that you desire, the ancestors will be a lamp unto your feet to help you to figure out how to get that healing. Do not sleep on the ancestors. You are never fully isolated because you walk with your ancestors. And y'all know I always say, I do readings blindly. Some days I do them in pieces. I'll do one little bit one day, another little bit one day. It's not until I start putting this together that I actually see what. So I did not know Irosun was the Odu that was going to land on the mat after I had already, done the reading with the cards and pulled Sheps. This March is a month to work with the ancestors, and we have access to them because of this Pisces energy. Okay. So we're continuing to work with this energy of Aset. Aset is about nurturance. This energy of Pisces, it relates to me to Aset. Aset is Yemonja, it's the ocean, and it's this vastness. You know, take time to go and study, if you haven't done this in a while or ever, the ocean. Turn on a documentary about the ocean and relate the wisdom, because this is nature teaching us. Relate the wisdom of the ocean to our lives. One of the things that I've learned about Yemonja, the ocean, Aset, is that everything that the creatures who live in the ocean need is there in the ocean. That is the reality that we live in. So we want to allow, and that's Pisces. We want to allow ourselves to know that we live in that the structure of the reality, despite this physical experience that we have, the structure of the reality is that we are connected to a great divine consciousness that is in tune with our vibration. This is why we worked with the law of attraction last month, is in tune with our vibration. And it will bring to us whatever it is that we are saying that we need. It will bring to us, even when we're not saying this is what I want. We may be saying, I don't want this. And we're saying it so much that the universe is just hearing whatever it is you're saying you don't want. It's feeling that vibration because you're feeling it so much, and it'll bring that to you also. Okay. But we live in a reality where our needs are provided. Sometimes it's not about doing, it's about being, it's about allowing. And this energy of Aset is about allowing. It's about receptivity. It's about receiving what it is that you say you want. We're going into the season of spring. And so that's a time for you to, leading up to April 20, I think it's April 20th, leading up to that day. Yeah, it's April 20th. Leading up to that day, be thinking about, this is what I'm manifesting this year. We already started this at January 1. All right. So we're going to set it August 20th. We're going to have, some equinox rituals. You have to come up with something that you're doing with an intentionality and, use some rituals of some sort. If all you do is just channel your energy into what it is you want to manifest over the next year, from spring of this year to spring next year, and you infuse it with this energy of spirituality, and because see, Pisces energy is the kind of energy where people of Pisces, they have to just trust and have faith. See, we get trust here. Okay. Trust that whatever they need, it will be provided for. And Pisces is a very giving energy. It's a very compassionate energy. And so a lot of times when a person with a lot of Pisces energy feels like, I don't have enough, I'm in lack, they can't really go out and try to get it unless they're guided to. They have to go and do something nice for somebody. It opens up the energy to be able to come in and help them to receive. It's almost like stuff shows up magically for people who have a lot of Pisces energy. Well, this is our opportunity as a collective to open ourselves up to this energy of receptivity where it's magical. Okay. And you're wanting to open yourself up to the magic of Pisces for the next year, because you only get one new moon in Pisces per year. So you're wanting to open yourself up to this magic of Pisces, remembering the ocean. Nature teaches us that whatever is in the ocean, it is provided for by the ocean. That's what we live in. We live in an ocean of consciousness. And it's better for us to open ourselves up to the ocean of consciousness about what we want first, and then allow ourselves to be guided as to what we do to go and get it. It's about being. It's about allowing more than it is about doing. Now, Capricorn will tell you, you better do that work. That is correct. All right. But it can't just be about doing. Okay. Doing comes after being, allowing, and then we do. Okay. And then we have to continue to take care of ourselves. This Pisces energy, like I said, it's draining type energy. It's the energy where you feel like I need to go do some relaxing. I want to get away, taking, luxurious baths and different things like that. Just really doing a lot of self-care. And themes of self-worth and self-value, self-love, that's coming up through this Aset energy, as well as Mars being in Taurus, Uranus going into Taurus. It's about self-worth. It's about, self-value. But Aset is about love. Love yourself. So as those opportunities come up where you see where you don't love yourself, you need to do something about that. You need to see that as an opportunity to make a different choice at how you're engaging yourself. As you see these opportunities that come up to show you how loved you are, receive them. Receptivity. Why do we push back so much against the love that comes to us? Also, there is a need for us to heal, healing and learning to positively work with your emotions. And so, emotions are information. And so how we feel emotionally about something, it's letting us know, am I headed in the right direction? Am I headed in the wrong direction? And we want to be more aware of our emotions, because those emotions, they are inviting different experiences to us. And so it behooves us. Pay attention to the emotions. The negative emotions are going to draw more negativity to you. What you invest your emotions in, that is what you are going to reap. You're gonna reap rewards from it, be it good or bad. You're gonna reap the fruits. You're gonna reap the fruits. I'll say one last thing about Aset. Aset, especially when it comes to emotions and different things like that, it helps us to look at how are we programmed, because these emotions, we have to choose. If we have a problematic emotion, we have to choose to get out of that problematic emotion. Okay. And also this month, we need to ask ourselves, which goddess am I serving? So if you're engaging in behavior, you should be always studying yourself. And if you're like, I don't think I should do that, or I probably should do that, you have to ask yourself, if you do or don't do, which goddess are you serving? The goddess of your lower self or the goddess of your higher self? Aset invites us to do this. Trust and isolation. I've talked about isolation. Also with the trust your intuition. This is a very intuitive time. For those of y'all who are in the spiritual coaching cipher, that's what I'm going to start calling it, spiritual coaching cipher. You got the intuition course for this month. So, you have even some extra tools to use to develop your intuition, to work with your intuition. This is a time where, it's very magical and intuitive with all of this Piscean energy. And so trust your intuition. And the other thing is actually trust goes with Aset. Because a lot of times, there's a video I put out one time called The Truth About Trust. And so as in our relationships, we have to trust that people are going to be who they are. Trust isn't that people come through for us. Trust is, I can trust you to be who and what you are so that I can get real. Because Pisces time is sort of like you have like a fog over you, and it's illusionary. You're like, okay, I see A, but it's really not A, it's B. But you totally see A. when Pisces is around, And so we have to see people for who and what they really are. We have to trust our gut when it comes to people. So trust is a big topic. I mean, it really covers quite a bit. Trust your intuition. Trust that people are going to trust that people are who they are based on what they show you. Okay. And don't lie to yourself and say, well, maybe it's just me. No, it's not just you. That they're showing you who they are. Okay. The other thing is this Irasun is all about working with the Ori. You have to really trust your head, your spiritual head. The more you trust your head and the greater you're going to have a trusting experience with life. And so if you run across somebody who you're like, I don't really know if I like this person or not, you're going to believe yourself. You're going to trust yourself. So the better relationship you have with your higher self, with you, then the more you're going to operate from a place of trust. You won't doubt yourself. Okay. Let's see here. When it comes to isolation, to a certain degree, we have to surrender. That was one of the healing remedies. Surrender to whatever you feel like there's a void to. Whatever the situation is, you need to surrender. And I love this word, self-commitment. When we are invested in ourselves, the deeper our relationship with our ancestors and with our Ori, and this was another thing this Babylao said, yes, you're exactly right, said, I feel like people should work with their Ori and their ancestors. It takes you so far. Just that alone takes you so far in life. Okay? And I call that self-commitment. Commit to you. Commit to your relationship with your ancestors, with your higher self, your Ori, and you will begin to feel less and less isolated. And, you will naturally draw to you people who are vibrationally in alignment with where you're headed in your life. Mercury retrograde, I think, will give us an opportunity to sort of be able to review some things in that regard. So going back to Irasun, you want to work with Osun, which is different from Oshun. This is why I've been spelling Oshun, O-S-H-U-N. Okay. Because in the Yoruba language, it is O-S-U-N, but I think there's like a little something under the S for Oshun. But there is a deity called Osun. Osun is a warrior energy. And it took me the longest time to figure out Osun, but I figured out Osun. Osun protects our heads. And so my prayer to Osun is, Osun, lead me to do what I need to do in order to protect my head, meaning my Ori, to protect what is coming into my Ori. Okay? Because Ori is the seat of consciousness, is consciousness. And so, of course, if we're just letting anything flow up in there, this is one of the reasons I've been talking to us about really protecting our energy. We let anything up there, then it's all mixed up in our consciousness, and it's all mixed up in our beingness. So we call on the energy of Osun to protect our head. That way we can hear our intuition. We can hear what it is that we need to do. We can be aware of what we need to be aware of. Osun can help us block out what creates more blockages. I talked about that in the intuition course. We have all these blockages that can block our intuition. Well, Osun can help us with that. Okay, so yes, working with Osun. So Irasun, the Odu is a wisdom teaching. It's a wisdom energy. Okay, it's not just words. It's an energy vibration. We're working with the warrior energy Osun. That warriors help us to protect ourselves and also to slay the enemy within and without. Okay, so we have Osun helping us to do whatever it is we need to do to keep our Ori clear. And this is one of the reasons why I do head blessings every day. For the most part. I mean, some days I do miss doing head blessings, but for the most part, that's one of my daily rituals. I am going to create a video on head blessing, and I will make it a Patreon exclusive for everybody, because that's just something that I feel everybody should know about. I actually learned it from a book, so it's not like it's even my ritual. So I'm going to share it with everyone, but I'll share it in Patreon first so everyone knows how to bless their head, okay? This Odu says, cautious behavior will take you through difficult times, eventually leading to abundance. And this is actually a time where we probably need to have cautious behavior. Pisces energy is a time where people can get swindled. We're sort of like not on our game. Mercury is there. So it's infusing the collective mind. And it's like lack of clarity to a certain degree. Although spiritually we may be very on point. But it's just a time where we probably should take cautious behavior. Like when I talk about Mercury retrograde, and these are not even my words. I couldn't even come up with anything. So I'm just going to have to use my astrologer Marina of MarsStars.net. She said unrealistic and no, that's Mercury conjunct Neptune, but it's very similar to Mercury retrograde. Unrealistic and utopic ideas, possible mistakes and complications. It's like you can't even pay attention to the details. When it's Mercury retrograde, you have to pay attention to the fine detail, but even more with it being in Pisces, because Pisces makes things dissolve. Remember, it's the ocean. You drop something in the ocean and it's like the ocean is so vast. It's like nothing almost within the context of the ocean when you drop it in there. Even the most massive whale still pales in comparison to all of the ocean. So that's what happens to our mind when Mercury's in Pisces, but especially when it's retrograde. And Mercury is actually going to be invisible. So a planet goes invisible when it's close to the sun. And that makes it, even less powerful. And we are apt to make mistakes. So the forward movement that we make, we really need to just be a little bit cautious with it. This may not be the best time to be like charging ahead. That's going to be towards the end of March. So cautious behavior will take you through difficult times, eventually leading to abundance. And we're all looking for an abundance of something. Some of us have more money than others. Some of us have more relationship than others. But we're all looking for something, So we just all need to take heed to this. Just take cautious behavior and we will get the abundance that we seek. So Astro Wisdom, I'm about to get into. All I can say is Uranus loud. Oh my God. New moon in Pisces. I had to look up what's the best way for me to describe this. New moon in Pisces will be on fleek. That was the best I could come up with. Good or bad, it's full of energy. Okay. So here we have Mars is in Taurus. So I always like talking about Mars because Mars is where we can focus a lot of our energy. Okay. And to a certain degree, Mars being in Taurus, it helps to keep us grounded. Saturn is in Capricorn. So that's a grounding aspect for us. So the area of focus while Mars is in Taurus until the end of this month is self-worth, value, self-care, money, family, storage. Like Taurus is known for being a hoarding type sign because it's about conservation. So it has to do with storage. I would ask you, are you storing too much stuff? Or maybe you need to, get some storage containers and put some stuff in storage. Taurus is one of the signs that's related to history. So you may be looking at your history a little bit more while Mars is in Taurus. It's also about antiques. So if you're into antiques, this is a good time for you to get out and do some antique shopping, or whatever y'all do in the antique culture. Really work the antique piece. Work with the earth element with Mars and Taurus. There's forward movement, but when Mars is in Taurus, it's slowed down because Taurus is an inert sign. It's really slow to move. People think Taurus people are stubborn because they're slow to move and take action. But Taurus is the kind of energy where if you don't want anyone to leave, you get a Taurus. A Taurus is going to stick and stay with you. It's one of the signs that will do that. They will never leave you nor forsake you. And so the fast forward movement of Aries is not like that in Taurus. It's more like sustain. Come up with a plan and use this energy of Mars and Taurus to help you stick and stay with what you said you wanted to do. Venus moves into Aquarius on the 1st. At the date of this recording, it's February the 28th. So that is tomorrow. It'll be there for 3 weeks. And I already see Venus in Aquarius. Just everyone is like, I'm going to do me. I'm going to be me. I'm not doing what anyone wants anymore. Even me, It's about freedom. It's about being unique. It's about wanting progress, So you may be thinking about what you want progress on. It could be regarding relationships too, because Venus is about relationships. But you may not be able to take a whole lot of action. If you do, just know it'll be bit by bit, just because of the overarching energy of this time. Maybe it moves on the 26th into Pisces. So the sun moves into Aries. The sun moves into Aries on August the 20th. So once the sun moves into Aries, even with all this Mercury retrograde and Venus moving into Pisces, whatever the progress is that you want, you'll start feeling like you can start making that progress when the sun moves into Aries. But you will be thinking about progress. How you use this time is a time to sort of think about what is it that I want to do in the area of progress when it comes to my money, when it comes to relationships, even your body. Okay. Also, I just really see Venus in Aquarius also as the time where you can. I always say Venus is about coming up with creative solutions, but it's like you'll come up with out the box creative solutions while Venus is in Aquarius, because Aquarius is out the box. It's like downloads that are just so amazing, and you may get them regarding money, relationships, in your physical body, maybe even other women, because Aquarius is also about wanting everyone to be equal. It's really and truly sort of like, this is how my astrology taught me. If socialism can be described by any sign, it would be Aquarius. Aquarius wants everyone to have the same thing. Okay. It's all about equality. And with Venus being there, we may start hearing more and more discussion about women, advocacy for women and women's issues during this time. And then when it moves into Pisces on March 26th, then it goes total creativity. Okay. Definitely it'll be a time of beautification, whereas Venus in Aquarius is like wild and quirky. You're wanting to be unique. You're wanting to be different. It'll bring out that quirky aspect in you, and you should engage it, because when it moves into Pisces, it'll be ephemeral and creative and otherworldly to a certain degree when it comes to beauty. It's also the feminizing of Venus, deeply feminizing Venus, cloaked in this Piscean. So creativity and dance and music and just all the arts. This is really going to be a time where you can work with Oshun. That'll be, well, this is more like Oshun energy, because Venus is the energy of Oshun. And it's like, as Venus goes through all the signs, it puts on different clothes. So it's going to wear the clothes of Aquarius, which is sciency, and it's, Aquarius is a masculine sign. So it's not all super feminine, but it is about being unique. Okay. And then when it goes into Pisces, it puts on the clothing of Pisces, and it's more of like what we think about when we think Oshun. So that's going to be March 26th on into August. So think of the things that you really want to create, manifest in your life. That is going to be the time. August 20th and beyond. Now you can't start anything new until March 28th. Let me get my fingers. Yeah, I'm so awake now. Yeah. Mercury moves direct on the 28th. So the 28th and beyond, you can start getting into new things, even though, Mercury will still be in shadow, which means it's not like it's going back over some stuff, but it's like you'll have more clarity on what you need to be, whatever came up during the retrograde period, you'll have more clarity on exactly what you need to do. But all this creative energy, the way you want to manifest it, all that kind of good stuff, March 28th and beyond. But leading up to that time, you might be like doing that little Play-Doh thing or working with modeling clay where you're shaping it and everything, but it's not set yet. Okay. I hope all that makes sense. Next, we have Mercury retrograde. That starts on March 5th. Now, I've been talking about this every weekly video. We're in the shadow period. You need to see what's coming up for you. And so this is a time to avoid starting new ventures, entering into new contracts. Be careful with information. Check important stuff at least twice. I've talked about that. Avoid buying expensive items because you may have buyer's remorse. You're like, why did I buy this? It's like, what was my mind when I bought this? It is positive for restarting old projects and solving past issues. Solving past issues is also a beneficial period for reassessments, which I've talked about that. Great for things that require intuition and creativity. And it ends conjunct Neptune, which Neptune is one of the ruling planets of Pisces. It's the energy of the ocean. It's what leads Pisces to be in this kind of energy that dissolves things. And so this is the list that I said on the 24th through the 26th. Around the 24th through the 26th, or I should say the 23rd through the 26th. Mercury is going to be conjunct Neptune. And so during that time, unrealistic and utopic ideas, possible mistakes and complications. Difficult concentration. That's the one I think I know best, because my natal Mercury is in Pisces. It's an energy that it makes it very difficult to concentrate. And so the way you plan your day or those days is easy as you can take it. Like, don't stack stuff up to do on those days if you can help it. Increased intuition, though. So for those who are wanting to increase their intuition, that'll be a day where you may feel your intuition is heightened and you know what it feels like. You know what it feels like. And that way you can begin to trust it when it comes back up. Because to me, intuition has a very specific feel. Once you get used to it, you know this is my intuition. And so you could really get deep into it. For those who are very much in tune with their intuition, those will be those will be days where you can really access it, and maybe you want to be using that time to intuit, so that you're like, okay, I'm really open. I know I'm going to be open around this time. Other transits could throw it off, but this is going to be a big energy. Also, you can get inspiring ideas. It could be a day for, kind and polite communication. Your imagination could be potentially just on fire during that time. Also, it may be a time where you really and truly can say, I need a mental health break. I'm going to take it during this time. So sometime around the 23rd to the 26th, you can take a mental health break. I think the actual day is March 24th. Yeah, March 24th. And also, it'll be a highly beneficial time for spiritual practices if you're really feeling like you want to go deep during that time. Okay, so biggie, Uranus and Taurus. Remember I told you loud. And I didn't even put a whole bunch of stuff here because we'll be talking about Uranus and Taurus for a while. As you can see, it will be there on March 6th through March 2026. So Uranus is about change. It's about like whatever change you should be making. If you're not making it, Uranus will force it. So we give thanks for Uranus. And so I just encourage you, whatever changes you need to make, you should make them, because whatever area of life that this energy is in your chart, it's going to force the energy. So, but transformation is imminent regarding material and financial issues. Also, original ideas can be materialized because Uranus is the same energy as Aquarius. So these unique downloads, these out-the-box ways of thinking. Someone said you couldn't do it. Well, when Uranus shows up in Taurus, you might be able to do it, okay, I'm saying Uranus shows up in Taurus, but that made no sense because this will be the only time any of us will ever see Uranus in Taurus. Unless those of you who are young live to be over 100. Because it takes Uranus 84 years to get around. So, but Uranus does aspect things or whatever. So whenever Uranus shows up, whoever said that can't happen, it can happen. So I just want to tell y'all, because I've done quite a bit of studying, and I'm going to do my best, since it'll be here for so long, to share a little bit about Uranus and Taurus. But one of the things that could potentially happen around the time that Uranus moves into Taurus is a shakedown of some sort. And Taurus is an earth energy, so it could be regarding something out in nature. It also has to do with money. So it could be some shakedown that happens in the markets around March the 6th. So let's just see, because I made a video today where I was talking about, and I'll release it soon, but I was talking about how this astrology is very accurate, okay? We can't always know exactly how it's going to play out, but it really does give us heads up. So in these last 2 years that I've been studying astrology, when these planets make shifts, I'm telling you, the astrologers will say beforehand, this is what you might see. And then I'll be doggone. Stuff shakes down. It's like, oh my gosh. So Uranus is moving in Taurus. If you have any planets in Taurus, if you have any planets in Taurus, just know. Uranus is about makes people want to be more independent. So you may be seeking to be way more independent and free, financially independent and free. But it depends on where it is in your chart. Because if it's in like the 3rd house, that's more about communication. Maybe you would want to have your own business or something like that. New moon in Pisces. Okay. So one of the reasons the new moon in Pisces is going to be on fleek is because it's the exact same day that Uranus moves into Taurus. It's a really big deal when a planet like Uranus moves into a new sign. It's a big deal because it's a slower moving planet, and the impact of it making that shift, like it's going to be leaving the energy of Aries, moving into Taurus, which is a whole different feel, It's got to get across that last line or whatever. So it's all this energy of shifting and changing. And then the moon and the sun will be right there together in Pisces, just really amplifying the energy of Pisces. While at the same time, the moon or the sun will be right there with Neptune. Neptune is this energy that I described with Mercury. It makes things dissolve. It's very spiritual. So it's just going to be an amazing time. And I don't want to say it's good or bad because I don't know how it's going to play out. I just know it's deeply spiritual and it's very unique. It's very unique. So I encourage you all to get your new moon intentions written down for this month. What do you want to do over the next 30 days, as well as what I talked about with how are you going to open yourself up to Pisces energy over the next year? Okay. I'm going to make a whole separate video for that. So y'all please, please, please make sure y'all watch that video. Okay. Oh, also this new moon is one day after Mercury goes into retrograde. It goes retrograde on the 5th. So it's a lot. It's on my calendar. When I looked at that day about a month ago, I wrote OMG. Because this is not like a normal day. This is not a normal day. It's going to be very eventful. I encourage you to make it spiritual. So then the sun starts in Pisces, March 1st, it'll be in Pisces. And then it moves into Aries on the 20th, which is the spring equinox. What are you going to do for the spring equinox? So hopefully I will be given something for us to do. I used to do spring equinox fast and different things like that. So, but it's definitely a time for a new beginning. So really look at your new year's intentions. If you haven't set them, set them. And do some type of intentional, use intentionality. Set intentions, say them, write them down, put them on the wall, light a candle, turn on some music, dance. Go out into nature, go sit by the water, go stand on the earth, whatever. But do something for that equinox, and we're going to feel more charged up is what I've been talking to y'all about. So Saturn and Pluto are in Capricorn, that's grounding, but this is really the predominant energy over everything. This Capricorn energy, it's really ruling everything. I just remind you, this whole year, a new structure is being put into place in your individual life, in the collective. A new structure is happening. We are being restructured. One of the things about Uranus and Taurus is that was the time when the banking system failed in the United States. It was other stuff that happened too, I think. But the last time we had Uranus and Taurus, the banking system failed, the Great Depression hit, and the whole banking system was restructured. We're on the verge of that because we have bad problems with the banking system as it is right now. So we could potentially see that restructuring. I remember everybody was talking about Bitcoin. I'm not sure if that is where we're headed. I do know that on the collective level, that's something we can be thinking about. On the personal level, how are you being restructured? I know I'm being restructured. Y'all are watching the transformation. I used to watch videos of people, like the astrologers. And I thought to myself, it was one of the reasons it took me so long to start doing this, because I'm watching them and it's like the energy hits them harder or something because they're talking about it and everything. And so I'm sort of feeling that. But the other thing that I will say is the more I do these readings, the more aware I am, the more I'm able to actually say, okay, I know Uranus needs me to make some changes. I know Saturn and Pluto are restructuring my mind. And so instead of me fighting with it, I'm going with it. Okay. That's why I do what I do. Okay. So y'all, we're being restructured. This whole year is about that. Set new intentions for being able to deal with the restructuring in your lives. North Node is in Cancer, which is an area of focus. So it all depends on where it is in your chart. I'm going to say it to you real quick. If you look on there, it'll say True Node or North Node. It's this little squiggly looking thing. First house, you need to work on yourself. Second house, money and values. Third house, communication and, traveling short distances, as well as business ventures. Fourth is home, family, ancestors. Sixth is, and you have to look at where is Cancer, okay? And whatever number I'm telling you, that's the area of focus for you this year. Well, through next year, actually. So I said fourth, home and family. Fifth is about creativity, children, dating, love life, hobbies, creative inspirations. It's like where we are very creative. Sixth house is going to be work as well as health. Seventh house could be legal issues, largely partnerships, could be, like romantic or one-to-one partnerships, business, close friends. Eighth house is the house of transformation as well as other people's resources. Ninth house is about the higher mind, inspiration, connecting with the guru or becoming a guru and doing travel abroad or to faraway places. 10th house is career and like what you're really known for. And 11th house is the house of gains as well as our social networks and friends. The third and the 11th, if you have the North Node, if Cancer is in your third or 11th house, it could be some social media, website, internet, something with that North Node being there. And then the 12th house is the spiritual house. So, it could be you're highly focused on spirituality as well as your sleep and relaxing, taking care of yourself as well as caring about other people, taking care of other people. So that's just a quick rundown. Wherever Cancer is, that's what you could be focused on for this year. Jupiter is in Sagittarius, which is about inspiration. So I am pretty sure I addressed all of this in the New Year's reading, but if you have questions about any of this, let me know. So suggested practices, working with Aset or Yemanjá, it's the same, or the moon, really following those moon cycles. Now the weekly readings is where I show what's going on with the moon. Oshun and Heteru. So I've talked about them quite a bit. You can work with those energies. Go to my website, Goddess Body Mind Spirit, and learn more about them there. And that's .com. Create new moon intentions. Work with your ancestors. Feed your ancestors. Talk to your ancestors. Light a candle, a white candle for your ancestors. Pour libations for your ancestors. Bless your head. Connect with your higher self. Work with Oshun. Use the water element for healing, such as taking luxurious baths, healing baths. Drink plenty of water and heal your emotions or develop a better relationship with your emotions. That's something else. Honor your femininity. You want to chant the womb Odu Agbe Obara, because this will help to bring healing to our wombs and our woman power. There's so much power in our wombs. And I was talking to one of my fellow priestesses and telling her, we really have got to do more to get the word out to other women about the power that's in our womb. So this is my way of trying to do that. If you could just trust me. Agbe Obara, Agbe Obara, Agbe Obara, Agbe Obara, Agbe Obara, Agbe Obara. And put your hands on the womb. Agbe Obara, Agbe Obara. Okay? Chant it. Open up that power in your womb. Examine yourself to determine what your psychic gift is. Develop an ear for hearing from your intuition. Be sure to have your own daily spiritual practices. I made a video about that recently. Don't sleep on the daily spiritual practices. They are salvation. They are daily salvation. Set New Year's intentions at the equinox. Even if you set them at the New Year, set them at the equinox. You want to seek balance in order to stay on track with your goals. And I say that because, of course, the equinox, the amount of day and night that we have is equal. And so we can really think about having more balance. You know, this is the axis of Pisces and Virgo. And so they're balancing, you know, and actually Virgo is all about balance. So anytime something is happening in Pisces, it's actually lighting up Virgo a little bit. So we really want to make sure we look at having more balance and identify that and seek to make sure that we move to a place of balance. Once we identify where are we in balance, where do we need more balance or equilibrium? We can say equilibrium. So as always, thank you all. Be sure to review your 2019 goals and the wisdom for the year. That video is there. And I wish you a great March. I don't know what I'm going to do. The course for, I thought I knew what I was going to do. It may be an Ori course, or also for those of you who are in the spiritual coaching cipher, just let me know if you have questions about some about it. Someone asked for an astrology 101 course. So that's something that I could do, but that would be something I do for everybody. So I don't know. Y'all let me know, but I just feel like I want to make sure y'all have all the tools that you need in order to just be so managing your life so well. That's my goal, is to help all of us, including myself, manage our lives and not feel like we're just, you know, at the mercy of whatever comes to us. So thank you. Love y'all. Looking forward to seeing y'all again soon. Peace.